10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, Eric, how are you, my friend? We're going to freestyle it today, so call in whenever you're ready. Welcome to the John DeVito Show. It is Friday, 11:35 a.m. Sorry I'm a little bit late, but I was having some technical difficulties that I worked out a little bit earlier. So we're going to freestyle it today, but also talk about some current events and things like that. So sit back and chill. We'll get started in a minute. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the John DeVito Show. Eric, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. I hope everybody else is doing the same.
Oh, there you are. Okay, I didn't push the button. So, yeah, how you doing today? Pretty good?
I'm doing good for the most part, yes.
That's good. So, yeah, it was funny. I saw someone make a comment to you. I don't know. I think it was like yesterday or the day before on Podbean, and they were saying, "Man, Eric, you're already here." And you were saying that you spend roughly, what was it, 6 hours a day? Actually,
that was Dose.
Yeah, Dose was saying that he loves to get on and trigger people, but man, you get on for like 6 hours a day, and
on average.
Yeah, I mean that's good though.
But I'm hanging out with the podcast friends who've got good quality shows, whereas like a lot of the other non-church shows, Podbean has just become a podcast version of Facebook, or as some like to call it, fascist book.
Hey, Mr. A and Swing with the Rockies, how you guys doing? Welcome to the show. We're going to freestyle a little bit today. I know we have only a couple of non-church shows in the top 20, like Chuck and Billy, Milk Dog Slightly, and Chris Unplugged. But I know we got to work on keeping Slightly in the top 20, and we need to also work on getting you and Cummings and Old Man and Trice Talk and Dennis Lee in the top 20. Well, the
and Robert shows, and Chris too.
Yeah, well, the church shows are tough. I mean, they're on all the time. They broadcast sometimes 24/7, and some of the engagement numbers they have are crazy. But the one that really gets me too is if you look at Bard's FM. And I mean, his engagement numbers are ridiculous. It's over like 500,000.
Well, he has so many listeners in there that, but like Cummings says, most of it, is a cult show because a lot of people think, Scott Kesterson, the host of Bard's FM, is some sort of messiah, which we know that couldn't be further from the truth.
Well, I'll tell you, I get excited on my show if I get up to over 20 listeners in my show in the live at some points, which I've done. Sometimes I think the most I've ever gotten was like 27 at one point. You go into his show, he's got over 1,000 people in his live, which is crazy. So for me, I kind of like it where you bring this guy into the Podbean platform, and if anything, he's bringing more listeners in for all of our shows
and bringing Podbean more money.
Exactly. So it's all good as far as I'm concerned. But right now I've got 4 people in. If I get to like 10 or 15 today, I'm happy. But it is what it is. I mean, for me, this is a hobby. I'm having fun with it. It's been a good time. I've met a lot of good people, and I don't expect anything to come from this. But in order to get into that top 20, I mean, some people I think are legitimately up there, but then you have other people I think that sometimes stack their engagement scores also, and that's okay too. It gets your name up there, and it kind of helps you, maybe become a little bit, more known or better known as a podcaster. But I mean, there are certainly good shows. I mean, there are a lot of good shows that I like. And what's the one I've been in lately? The girl's really funny. Is it Lisa Talks?
Die.
Yeah. Oh my God. She's so fun. I was in her show the other night. She is hysterical, really funny person. And I really like that show. And then of course, there's the staples like, Slightly Serious is a great show. Obviously, Chit Chat with the Old Man is one of the very best shows on Podbean. And you've got, Chris's new show, The Forgotten Tunes, is doing really well. I mean, obviously.
And then Robert's Mr. Clean Show. I mean, he's very good, even though the trolls have just relentlessly, continue to bully and pick on them.
And that's what bullies do. Bullies are cowards. Bullies like to go after the guys like Robert who really can't defend themselves. And I mean, honestly, what type of person are you if you have to come in and you have to bully an adult that's maybe got some challenges and you have to come down and try to beat this guy down further? I mean, he's already had a lot of challenges in his life.
Yeah.
He has issues with his sight and everything. And as far as I'm concerned, I think it's amazing.
And then those who, like you and me and Slightly and Lady Me who take up for him, the bullies come after us and label us as being just as bad as him. When I think they need to go look in the mirror and them see who's the real bully.
Oh, that's true. Well, you know what it is? Like I've said many times, if the bullies want to bring it to me, go ahead, bring it. I really don't give a shit what they say, what they have to say, any of that good stuff. But when you see people even like Chris, who was brave enough to come on and tell his story about what happened to him in Agape, for people to come in and bully him for that. I mean, grow a set. And, at least if you're going to come in, show your name and show who you are,
Well, and to pick on somebody who has got a physical or mental disability, I mean, how would you feel if this was one of your loved ones? How would you feel if somebody was picking on your kid in school or on the internet or somebody was just stalking you relentlessly?
It's true. Hey, old man, welcome to the show, man. Thank you for coming in. I really appreciate it. We're just kind of freestyling today. But you're right, Eric. For me, I grew up and, my mother, we found out when I was 5 years old that she had muscular dystrophy. So by the time I was in high school, she had, hey, Ralph Williams podcast. Welcome. We've been missing you, man, on the air. So I'm glad to see you popping in, and hopefully we're going to see you back doing your show soon. So I'm really happy to see your name pop up in here. And we've been kind of talking about your show. Hopefully we'll see you back, back maybe next week or whenever. So thanks for coming in. But no, my mother, she had muscular dystrophy. She was in a wheelchair by the time I was in high school. And, she dealt with a lot, and she got a lot of dirty looks from people, believe it or not, for just being in a wheelchair. And, I've got my oldest son now who's on the autism spectrum, and he's been, he's had all kinds of challenges in his life. So for me, it kind of gets personal when I see people getting bullied for, things that they can't control, whether it be a physical issue, whether it be a cognitive issue, whatever it is, then you see people getting bullied and you see people getting attacked, which is just unfortunate. And when you have people coming into Podbean and attacking, people like Robert, and I've seen you get attacked too, and it really bothers me. But it's people that do that are looking to get under other people's skin, and they are looking to just get at you. So when we respond and when we react, we're giving them the attention that they want. And I think for a lot of them, any attention is good attention. They think it's funny. And it is.
Or unless you know how to mock them to the point that they leave you alone. Cummings' good friend Bobbert knows how to do it.
Yeah, Ralph, how you been, man? Is everything okay with you? I was wondering if everything's all right. I see you in the chat there, and we were talking about the great shows on Podbean. And unfortunately for me, sometimes I don't get up early enough to see Ralph's show or to listen to Ralph's show. But and
I know you can't stay up late for Chris's show most nights.
I miss him. We know what I do a lot. I download a lot of Ralph's shows, listen to them after the fact, and I always get a lot of things for my show when I listen to Ralph's show about things I can do differently. I love like his intro that he does, and a lot of things with his show. And certainly when you look at Ralph's show, I mean, just a staple of Pod being probably, I mean, not probably, I would say probably the best show on all of Podbean. I mean, he's got a ton of people that have listened to him, a lot of loyal listeners, and really gets on and has a nice mix of, talking about the news, but also having fun and, doing a variety of different things. So yeah, I hear that, man. Sometimes life gets in the way. I've had those periods of time where things happen and you just have to kind of focus on life and do those type of things. So just know that we've all been talking about you. Eric promotes your show, every time we have a show and on other shows, hoping that we'd see you back soon. So I'm glad to hear things are going well. And take your time, get things in order. And then when you come back, all your fans will be here. And I'm certainly one of them. So I'm glad to hear everything's good and you're doing well. So Eric, what are you doing for the weekend, man? What do you get going on?
If things work out tomorrow, I may go down to my dad and stepmother's place to do a little bit of yard work and help clean up eggs like chickens have laid and take some empty egg cartons to them.
That's what I need, because as you know, we have 10 chickens right now.
Well, farm fresh eggs are the better kind that versus buying them at the store.
Oh, it's not even close. I mean, I have never had chickens before. I grew up in New Hampshire. We didn't have chickens. This is something my daughter wanted to do, so we supported, her in doing it. So we've got a chicken coop in the backyard. We've got 10 chickens. We think one of them might be a rooster. We're getting the occasional cock-a-doodle-doo, and we live in the neighborhood. So unfortunately, we may have to get rid of him if he's really loud.
I mean, if they start calling code enforcement on like noise complaints.
Exactly. But I'll tell you, the farm fresh eggs, oh my God, they are head and shoulders above any other eggs I've ever had in my life. I mean, they taste like a little bit more sweet, but right now I'd say we're getting roughly 8 eggs a day. We can't keep up with them. I mean, we've got 6 people in our house. We've been making egg salad. We've been making French toast, making hard-boiled eggs, and we're giving them to neighbors. Like we have a neighbor right next door, great people. The guy was actually in the Navy, and he was like a pilot. Well, not really the pilot. He was like Goose in Top Gun. He was the navigator in one of the fighter jets. He lives next door. He's an older guy. He's retired now. So we give him and his wife quite a few eggs, and then we've got people across the street. We give them eggs on the other side of us. But we still, right now, we must have a good 70 eggs up on top of our refrigerator right now. So we got to find more people to give them to, because I don't want them to go bad. And we haven't really sold any yet, but we might actually end up doing that since we just have so many of them. But so that's cool that you have experience with chickens. But the funny thing we have right now is we let our chickens free range around our yard, and our neighbors are pretty cool about it. But they're laying eggs in like all different places. Like a few of them have broken through this wooden whatever we have under our porch, and they go under there and lay eggs. They've been laying eggs under our camper. I caught one of them yesterday. He was stuck in a box in my garage. He was like, she was like crying, screaming. So I come outside and see, and she had fallen into a box in my garage and couldn't get out. So it's kind of funny, with the chickens. And, we're not quite ready to do the yard work here yet. We have a lot to do coming up, but we still have some snow on the ground. Most of it has melted, but we have some left, and we're not at the point quite ready for the the spring cleanup yet. So now, do your parents have like a big yard? You've mentioned you get out and help them.
My dad and stepmother, they have mules, and then they have like chickens and ducks, and then I think they own a couple like Chihuahuas and a Great Dane.
Mr. T, you're right. Oh my God, I still can't believe. My daughter obviously now knows that when she went away, to Florida, of course, on the first night she's gone, her favorite chicken died. I mean, I know I've told that story a few times, but if you could have seen my poor youngest son, I'm sitting in the family room on my laptop doing some work, and my son comes running into the family room full speed, screaming and crying, "Oh my God, Luna's dead." And he literally carries the chicken to me, and I just look at it and I'm like, "Yeah, buddy, bad news. I think she's dead." So we kept it from my wife and my daughter for a full week while they were in Florida. And then finally we had the chicken cremated. But yeah, I couldn't believe it. Had to be her favorite chicken. The first night they were away, drops dead on us, and we had to kind of come up with a plan. But we got the chicken cremated, put her in a nice little box with her name on the top of it, and she is now sitting on the mantle in the family room in my house right now. So we have a reminder of Luna, our favorite chicken. So yeah, that's the life of being a dad, I guess. Hey, Chrissy, welcome to the show. So Eric, tell us more about what you're going to do this weekend. So you're going to be down visiting, the house. You're going to do some yard work. What else do you do when you're down there visiting?
It's mostly just that, and
hey, Chris.
But it'll probably only be for like a couple hours, give or take. And I know like front yard raking, of course.
Yeah, we do the same.
It'll probably be like 9 or 10 in the morning, though.
That's a good question.
And I'll probably be there till like 3 or 4, and then I know I've got my Saturday free think meeting at 3 p.m.
I see Ralph mentioned. Do you bring eggs home with you? Do you get to bring?
They'll send like farm fresh eggs home with me.
Now, can you ship them in the mail? Because if anybody wants them, I'll ship them. I've got a lot of eggs to send on, and they are phenomenal. I mean, they are so much better than store-bought eggs.
I would have to look into that because I know I'd have, like, if I was able to put like a egg carton with the eggs in the package, I know I would have to put on the box fragile.
Right. Yeah, I would imagine it must be tough to ship eggs, I would think, but I'm sure it's probably done.
Yeah.
But anyway, things here this weekend. We've got pretty decent temperatures coming up in the Boston area. It's going to be up near 60, both weekend days. Today it's cold. It's 29 degrees. Up here today, I was just out a little while ago taking a break from my job, and it's pretty chilly. But, finally we're getting some nicer weather. We did have my boys had a baseball practice outside last Friday, which was kind of nice. And my son Ethan, I talk about him a lot. He had another basically a baseball showcase this past week, and he did well. I posted it on Instagram, him hitting a little bit. He's only in 8th grade, so technically he shouldn't be going to these showcases. But you got to see the technology they use. They bring in this group, the place that we go to is called PBR, and they bring in all these devices, this technology. They've got all these machines set up behind, the pitchers and the hitters and the catchers, and they measure. For hitting, they measure exit velocity and hand speed. For catchers, pop time, that shows how quick their throws are down to second base. Oh my God, Ralph, you would love going to one of these. The gadgets are amazing to actually watch. How much technology they bring into evaluating these kids right now for baseball. Hey, Mike, good to see you, man. And I see Nargis. I don't know how to pronounce that, but welcome to the show. But no, Ethan did well. He went in. He's in 8th grade, so he's class of 2025. And his best exit velocity at the plate has been 93 miles an hour, and that's equivalent to a Division I college baseball player already. The other night, he topped out at 88, which is still a pretty good number for him. But the number he really improved on was his catching pop time. And if anyone is a baseball fan, basically a pop time is from when the ball is thrown by the pitcher, it hits the glove, it makes a pop, and then from the time the catcher gets it out of his glove and throws it down to second base, and it pops again. So that's why they call it pop time. So his pop time was 2.3 seconds, which again is kind of like borderline getting to the point where he would be maybe like a Division I college baseball prospect. And that's what he wants to do. He wants to play. His dream is to play for the Florida Gators. So when we were in Florida, last month, we went to a Gators game where they played the University of Miami. And we were actually the first people into the brand new stadium down in Florida for the Gators, which was pretty awesome. So for me, that would be great. Then I could relocate to like a warmer climate and get the hell out of this cold climate that we're living in right now. So, hey, old man, thanks for coming in, man. I'm sorry I missed your show today. We have a big bid with my company today. We're bidding for a biology curriculum in Buffalo. So I've been working on that all day and had to work through your show. And this is probably not going to be a long show today because I have to get back to that. And I've got another conference call at 3 o'clock today. But Eric, I had to touch a little bit about some of the things that are going on again in this country. I don't want to make this show all about politics, but man, the more I see what's going on, the more I see everything that's happening right now. Did you see the new thing now that Biden came out with? Biden is talking about he's going to be raising taxes now on anyone making over $200,000 a year. Now, again, I know there are people out there that say, well, that's a lot of money, and you people should have your taxes raised. But the bottom line is when he was campaigning, he said he wouldn't be raising taxes on anyone except for families making over $400,000 a year. So that was another campaign promise that was broken. We talked about the bombing of Syria, gas prices, reaching $3 a gallon, 13,000 children now in custody at the border, some of them sleeping on floors, some of them not eating. And I mean, it's just been, killing the Keystone Pipeline. We're just seeing so many things that are happening. And when I see him get up, hey, sorry about that, Roastmaster Glenn. You came in earlier. I was having some tech problems with my board, and I had to fix it. So I think I got it repaired. So thanks for coming in and returning. But when you look at the fact that people are saying still that they believe that Joe Biden got 81 million votes in this last election, I did some research, and literally, I mean, if you look at the number of votes he got compared to people like Obama, compared to people like Bill Clinton, again, there were population differences in the country in those times as well. But I'm sorry, there is no way in holy hell that man got 81 million votes with, his lack of campaigning, with his lack of being able to speak to the American people, with just him having cognitive issues. You can't convince me that something didn't happen in this past election where cheating was on the table. I mean, there's no way this man got the most votes in the history of our country. And forget about Trump. Let's throw him out the window. Forget about him. Are you going to tell me that Joe Biden legitimately got more votes than Barack Obama? I mean, Barack Obama was a charismatic, good-looking guy, first black president, had a lot going for him. People loved him. His party was behind him. And you're going to tell me that Biden got more votes than him? I mean, how can they justify that, Eric, and not actually laugh?
No, that is true.
You know, did you see the speech he gave last night? He actually, in the speech, made a reference to President Harris.
Oh yeah.
He's already, because you know he's not making any of the calls right now. But I guess for the people that are in here,
Well, it's painfully obvious that Biden is the one not calling the shots.
let's see. I see Roastmaster Glenn saying, "Sorry, as a Canadian, the whole was president is going to be a joke for generations." Yeah, I mean, I
got that right, Glenn.
He is,
because I know we're practically the laughing stock of the world right now.
Oh, did you see there was an interview with Kim Jong-un in North Korea? I don't know if you guys saw that, but they were putting the subtitles down below so you could basically understand what he was saying. And he was talking about Biden, and he was just talking about how he respected Trump. You know, Trump came in, and even though they didn't agree on everything, he had respect for him. And he was basically
Trump was a force to be reckoned with.
He came out point blank and said, Biden's a joke. Biden's weak. He's making America weak. And, unfortunately, that's what a lot of people in other countries are going to see when they look at our country, because again, we live in this woke culture in the US where, everybody has rights, which they should, women are as, equal as men, which they should, all the men are having sensitivity training, in this country, and we all have to be in touch with our feelings. But there are a lot of countries in this world that do not feel that way. And there are a lot of countries in this world where the men are the men, they run things, men need to be strong. And when they look at America, it gives them the impression that we are weak. And I think that is a problem sometimes, old man, you're right. I mean, I think it is. I mean, if you look at the support that Trump got in other countries, I mean, maybe everyone didn't like him, but they respected him. And, I know that he would get in and he would say inappropriate things sometimes. And, the whole grab him by the, what was obviously an inappropriate comment. But I still look at that. That's something that the left holds to, is that one comment that Trump made. And again, I'll be the first person to admit, I played sports my whole life. I played college football, whatever. I said a lot of inappropriate things in the company of other teammates and other men, things I shouldn't have said that were just stupid locker room banter. Does it mean it's right? Of course not. Was it disrespectful? Yes, it was. Would I say it today? I would not. And I think that's exactly what happened in that situation where Trump made that inappropriate comment about women. But for the most part, his actions have been very positive towards people of color, to women. And he has supported women in his organizations. He's promoted women up to the highest ranks in management with his company, with his companies. And for people of color, I mean, he brought jobs back to the inner cities. And, for the Democrats to use that one comment that he made as a younger man, obviously it was a terrible comment, but they kind of have, turned that into Trump being a misogynist, him being this, him being that. When you look at someone at Biden, where I still can't get past the fact where that woman came out, Tara Reid, and talked about how he shoved her up against the wall, went up her skirt, digitally violated her, and then mentally beat her down when she basically shut him down. And there are other instances of him just having inappropriate behavior with women, and the double standard. I just don't understand it. I mean, again, I'm an older guy. I get it. I come from a different generation. Things were different when I was a kid than they are now. But to me, if Andrew Cuomo is being basically accused of sexually harassing 7 or 8 women, shouldn't he get the same type of treatment as Kavanaugh? Shouldn't he get the same type of treatment as Trump? Shouldn't he get the same type of treatment as the Republicans who have been accused of these type of things? Because when you look at what Cuomo did, I mean, there were 8 women that have come out against him. Okay, could it be a setup? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I'm not in the inner circles. I don't know if it was a setup or not. But when you look at 7 or 8 women, it needs to be investigated. And should Cuomo step down? Probably. I mean, the guy, I don't have any skin in the game. I don't live in New York. Yeah. I mean, we have our Governor Baker, who I don't love, but he doesn't seem to be as negative of a force as Cuomo. I mean, at least, Baker, I guess, up here pretends to be a Republican. You've got Cuomo, who's an outright Democrat in the state of New York. But man, with the scandal in the nursing homes, with now all the sexual harassment claims coming up, I mean, geez, either investigate him, get him out of office, do something. But you can't have this type of people these type of people representing our government. And it just kills me that, when people like Juanita Broderick came out against Clinton, and you got Tara Reid coming out against Biden, you get all these women now coming out against Cuomo. Where's the whole Me Too movement? Where's the Me Too? Where are the women coming out of the woodwork saying that these men need to be investigated? Where's Kamala Harris? She's the vice president of the country. She's a woman. Where is she?
And the thing about the whole like Me Too crowd and the I Believe Survivors crowd, that like the victims that are like Tara Reid that are, accusing Biden of wrongdoing, they're basically labeling them. So Tara Reid must be a Trump supporter, but Tara Reid's been on the record saying that she is by no means a Trump supporter.
Yeah, I mean, that's the
never
thing.
has been and never will be, is the way Tara Reid puts it.
No, and I've read, a lot of her interviews. I've watched a lot of the things she's talked about. And again,
but those same people who believed that Christy Blasey Ford are just going to be like, not good enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. And, for me, it just, you would think a woman matters no matter who her accuser is. So if the accuser is, if they're accusing Trump, if they're accusing Biden, if they're accusing Clinton, if it happened to be, Charlie Baker in Massachusetts, no matter who it is, if a woman is accusing a man of a crime, I mean, obviously it's innocent till proven guilty. But, when there's one or two, maybe you can say a little bit more, it's innocent till proven guilty. But when you have 8 coming out of the woodwork, I mean, that kind of makes you wonder, what the hell's going on? And why isn't this being plastered all over the news stations? Why isn't it being plastered all over? Let's see. John, any chance I can you later sometime between 3 and 4:30? You don't have to stay on the whole time. I have a John DeVito topic you can answer in the chat, not trying to mess the flow of your show. No, that's okay. Today's a freestyling show, so we're just chilling out. I have a conference call at 3 o'clock for work. I would be able to probably join you after that. So I don't know how long that's going to go. It could be a half an hour. It could be 45 minutes. So I could possibly join you maybe around the 4 o'clock time. So I'll see if I can get out of that on time and then shoot over and get into your show and help you. So, and whatever. So hopefully it's a good topic that you're going to have me talk about. So anyway, but yeah, going back to, what we're talking about, it's just, this country, the media right now is just driving me crazy. You look at what's going on, the First Amendment right now has gone out the window. The Second Amendment, they're coming for your guns. They're coming for your guns. And when I was a younger guy, I was not a guy that owned guns. I did not believe that we needed to have guns, and that they come up with the argument all the time. Well, you don't need an AK-47 to stop a person that's breaking into your home. You're right, but that's not the purpose of the Second Amendment, and that's not the purpose of being able to purchase firearms that you can defend your family with and defend maybe your entire community with. Because if we have a tyrannical government that is coming in and they're taking away our freedom and they're changing the way of life, and they do not have intentions of maintaining the integrity of our Constitution, then we have a problem in this country. And we do need to have the ability to carry firearms to defend ourselves in a militia style fashion against a government that is looking to overthrow us. So it's, right. Exactly, Ralph. I mean, that's kind of what it is right now. So, but they're coming after the guns. They're coming after the guns. And honestly, I'm at the point now where I do own guns. As I've mentioned before, I have a 9mm, I have a 357 revolver, and I have a 44 Magnum because I'm a big Clint Eastwood fan. But for me, I may go out and purchase something like an AK or something to that effect before they take away my right to do so. Not that I even feel really that I want or need one, but I think for me, it's almost like an opposition to the government trying to take away my rights. Well, you know what? I'm going to go out and buy one. So I have it in my house. And if we have to defend our family and defend ourselves, then, we will have that capability. So I don't know, man. It's just a lot of crazy stuff going on. One of the things that really gets me is the whole thing down at the border, but let's speak frankly about this. Let's be honestly about it. I mean, for me, I don't really have a problem with immigrants coming into our country. Okay. My grandparents were immigrants. They were Italian. We have Portuguese people in my family. We have Irish people in my family. I'm a descendant of immigrants. And I know that my grandfather came in through Ellis Island. He went through the appropriate channels and did what he needed to do. For us to bring in people from other countries. I think, honestly, that is what makes America great. It really does. I mean, we have a melting pot of people in this country. Of course, government's trying to tear us apart and making us hate each other, but we have a melting pot in this country of a lot of different types of people, and I think it's what makes America amazing. It really does. But doing it the way now Biden is doing it, I mean, he crucified Trump for putting up a wall. He crucified Trump for trying to prevent illegal immigrants from coming into this country. And, they stopped building the wall. They crucified Trump. He's ripping children out of the hands of their parents. He's keeping them in cages. I mean, they did nothing but vilify this guy for 4 years. And now you look at the problem we have down at the border, it's 10 times worse than what it was under Trump. And you know why Biden's letting everybody in? I mean, it's obvious. We talked about this in the last show. Biden and the Democrats are letting in their future voters. They're letting in their future slaves, and that's what they are. These voters are coming into this country illegally because who knows what their living situations are in their country. They're desperate, and they're looking to come into the U.S. for a new start, and I get that, and I sympathize with it. But when you've got 13,000 children now in cages, 13,000 children, many of them are sleeping on floors and they don't have food, and the families are just stuck in these cages waiting to be processed. And if they're processed, they will generally put them on a bus, send them to a sanctuary city. They get welfare, they get food stamps, they get Section 8. And now they are indoctrinated into.
He's got them trapped, is what it is.
He does. They've got them trapped. And for me,
because the thing is they might already be recognizing that the voting base they've had for so long is finally getting woke to what's really going on, and they're coming to the realization that they have been duped all this time.
Oh, I love that name.
And
look at that. USA coming in, baby. I love it. Bossy Eagle, another one. Welcome to the show. Love the names. But, people have said to me, I've heard people come in to me, and, I've got a couple of comments on it. Well, John DeVito's racist. How am I racist? You don't know me.
And for people to say that you're a racist, I would say to them, that's your problem.
Yeah, well, but you don't know me from a hole in the wall. You don't know what I'm about. You don't know where I'm from. You and I just have a different idea as to what racism is. You look at racism as me coming in and saying, well, people in the city shouldn't get their benefits. You have money, they don't, and you're greedy, you're a capitalist. No. No, that's not the case. The truth of who I am says this. I have absolutely no problem with a portion of the money that my wife and I make go to help people who need help. My son, who has autism, gets Social Security. Eric, I know you get benefits. I have friends that get benefits. I know people out there that physically can't work, that cognitively can't work, that have anxiety issues. You deserve help. You deserve it. If there's a mother of 4 children and dad's walked out for whatever reasons he's walked out, and you're in there trying to hold your family together, damn it, give them help, send them back to school, help this woman out. Absolutely. But there are people out there also that are collecting government funds. They're selling drugs on the side. They're making cash on the side. And trust me when I say,
prostitution's another issue too.
And I know people in our family that do these things. So I'm not speaking blindly when I say this. And, for me, when I look at what's going on in this country, we've talked about it before, the government, and it's the Democrats, it's not the Republicans. The Democrats have created a dependent society. And you've had generations upon generations of African Americans, of Hispanic Americans, of poor white Americans, of Asian Americans, of people of all different descents that are trapped in the inner cities. They have never had a good job because the good jobs have been sent overseas. All those jobs that used to exist in manufacturing for people that maybe didn't have college degrees that paid a good wage are now all gone. So they don't have the option of getting these good jobs. They don't have good schools, so they don't get good educations. And the option they have is collecting government benefits. And unless they vote Democrat, they're on the street because they don't have skills to go out and make money on their own. And like I've said time and time again, I'm a hard worker. My wife works harder than I do. She is an animal as far as the amount of time that she works. She works too hard. She literally cannot turn it off. But we're both the same way. And the reason why we are that way, it's not that I'm special. It's not that I'm better than anybody. I'm not. It's my father watched his parents work 60 hours a week in factories, coming home with burns on their bodies, plastics factories, machine shops, all these different difficult jobs just to put food on the table. So for me growing up, I watched my father get up every single day at 5 o'clock in the morning. He was gone by 5:30, wasn't home till 7 or 8 o'clock at night. The man worked his ass off. And did he ever get rich? Not really. I mean, he made a good lower middle class living, enough where we had a house, we had clothes, we didn't feel like we were really missing anything. We didn't know that we weren't rich. We just thought we were average like everybody else, which I guess we probably were. But I watched him every day bust his ass. When he was sick, he went to work. When he didn't feel like going to work, he went to work. And he worked his butt off every single day to provide for our family. My mother did the same thing until she got sick. So for me, I haven't seen anything else other than strong work ethic from my father, from my grandparents, from everybody in my family. My wife, same thing. Her parents killed themselves with food on the table. She kills herself to provide for our family, and she does a damn good job of it, right? So flip that over now. If I was a guy that was living in the inner city, okay, and I was living with grandparents that collected welfare, parents that collected welfare, what would I do? I mean, I wouldn't see my parents going to work every day. I would see them struggling with money.
They would not be instilling any kind of work ethic in you.
Right. And that's not the fault of the people. It really isn't. I'm not, for anybody out there that listens to me right now, I'm not dumping on your family. I'm not dumping on your relatives. I'm not saying that you're bad people. I'm saying your government has taken advantage of you and your government has let you down. They've let you down. They're not giving you the opportunity. One of the things I like hearing about in the school districts right now is you have a lot of people coming out in the inner cities talking about having equity in the school districts, because right now there is not equity. There is not equity. Some schools are better than others. People are getting better educations. Now, have things gotten better over the years? They have, but they're still not where they need to be. But the thing that Trump did, and this is what he doesn't get credit for, Trump brought jobs back to this country. Those manufacturing jobs that were gone, Trump was striking deals. He was imposing tariffs on China. He was encouraging companies to come back to this country. And those empty factories that have been laying dormant since Clinton passed NAFTA are now, again, with people working. But what's Biden doing? He's taking it all away again. He's taking it away. And it's frustrating. And I feel when people come out and they'll say, well, John DeVito's a capitalist, he's a racist. I'm not. I love my black brothers and sisters.
The thing about you, John DeVito, is you are a productive citizen in society. And I think that the problem is there are people in society who don't think about that. And like our good friend Slightly Serious says, you're going to have douchebags in society no matter what. You
are. And, for me, I want everybody, regardless of your color, regardless of your religious background, regardless of your sexual orientation, I don't care. I don't care if you're black, you're white, you're green. I don't care if you're straight, you're gay, you're transgender. Good people are good people. People are people. And you deserve an opportunity to live the American dream like everybody else does. But unfortunately, for a lot of people, it's stacked against them. And that's what's happening now down at the border. Biden is not letting people in because he cares about them. The Democrats are not saying, oh, let's welcome in all these Americans. They have a reason behind it. And it's not for the benefit of those people. It's not for the benefit of our country. It's to continue to grow their voter base by bringing in illegals and giving them benefits and eventually the right to vote, and they have to vote Democrat to keep their benefits. It's the truth. It's a reality, and no one talks about it. It's Eric. Go ahead.
Well, the thing about it, the same government is is like raising everybody's taxes, and so they could turn around and spend it on pork projects and sending money to their friends in China and on gender studies programs in Pakistan. And basically all that is a payoff for the lobbyist friends who are steadily filling their coffers.
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Again, even like the other day, I went, stopped and got gas. I have an SUV. I got 4 kids. We need a bigger vehicle.
And 22 states are suing the Biden administration over him striking down the Keystone Pipeline in executive orders. And Senators John Tester of Montana and Joe Manchin of West Virginia, both of whom are Democrats, are urging Biden to reverse that executive order.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, it needs to happen because they're destroying our economy with it. As I was going to say, like the other day, I stopped to get gas. I have a big SUV, a Ford Expedition. You know, we get 2 dogs.
And I imagine it probably costs like $80 or $90 to fill the tank.
That's where I'm going now. It was $78 for me to fill the tank. And okay, again, you know, I'm not saying this to be a jerk, but it's the truth of it. Okay, for me,
and I think $30 would fill up my Toyota Corolla.
Well, you know, $80 is an annoyance for me. Is it going to take food off the table of my family? No, it's not. But I look at it, I'm like, Jesus, $80. But for a lot of people out there, for the people that are middle class, lower middle class, that are maybe struggling financially, if you have to put $80 in your tank now, as opposed to having put maybe 45 or $50 in your tank 3 months ago, where's that money coming from? It's coming off your ability to put food on the table. It's taken away your ability to buy clothes for your children, to save for their education, to save for your retirement. So, I mean, that has happened literally in the span of 3 months. And, you know, I do fear that we're going to be back in the price range of what we were under Obama, when you were looking at $4, $5, $6 a gallon for gas at some point. That's where we're going again.
Like the final year of the Bush-Cheney years, like leading into the Obama-Biden years.
Yep, no doubt.
Because I remember gas being like $4 a gallon here in Georgia at that time, and then all of a sudden it went down to like $1.99 a gallon.
Yep. And I see Mike's comment down in the chat, and Ralph's in here as well also. And I want to mention this also. Now, if you look at what the government's coming down with now, to teaching kids basically the new civics now as to what they're teaching them, and the schools are coming out and they're now basically teaching children to hate their country. They're teaching children, white children, to be ashamed of being white, and they're teaching, you know, other races of children to, I guess, feel or understand that they've been victimized in society. Okay, the bottom line is, how is that going to help anybody? I mean, the Coca-Cola diversity training, that drove me crazy. Teaching people to be less white. I mean, that was the biggest slap in the face, not just to white Americans, but to all Americans. And imagine if Coca-Cola had come out and done a diversity training on teaching black people to be less black. I mean, can you imagine the fallout that would have gotten if they had done that? It should have been the same type of fallout for white people. But if you look at what's going on in our country right now, the schools now are teaching these same types of propaganda to students. They're teaching, you know, white Americans that you're privileged, you're racist. You don't know anything about any of the children you're teaching. I'll tell you right now that my children are not racist at all. My children may be a little bit privileged because we probably do help them more than we should, but we also have expectations for them, very high expectations, where they get very good grades in school. If they don't, they're punished. We are expecting them to do chores around the house. If they do not, they are punished. If they do not live by the rules in our house, they are punished. So we, you know, because of my grandparents, my parents, my wife and I, we have very high expectations of our kids, and we expect them to follow the rules and do the things they need to do. If someone were to call me and say that one of my children made a racial slur, did something to that effect, they would not want to come home. They would not want to come home. But the good news is we've done a good enough job, I think, raising my children where that's not a problem. My children, some of their very best friends are people of color. And we live in a very small town, and there aren't a lot of people of color in the town we live in, but those are some of their very best friends. And we're very proud of that. And they're good kids from good families. But I mean, for the government to now teach this in school, I love that DeSantis came out and said, we're not putting one red cent into teaching that crap in our schools in Florida. But unfortunately, the rest of the country is going to be doing this. But this is what our government is doing. They're continuing to divide us as a people. They are continuing to play black people against white people, black people against Hispanic people, white people against Hispanic people, on and on and on. Either you're for gay marriage, you're against gay marriage, you're for gun rights, you're against gun rights, you're for abortion, you're against abortion. I don't even know if the government really cares about any of these topics. But to me, it's just a way to be divisive, to keep us fighting, to keep us in turmoil, to keep us not protecting each other's backs. Could you imagine how awesome this country would be if we could put aside all of the racist bullshit, if we could put aside, you know, black people being against white people being against black people, put that stuff away, pack it up, throw it in the garbage, and we unite as one people and tell our government point blank, You need to be here to represent us. When you pass a $1.9 trillion package, that money doesn't go to union pension funds. That money doesn't go overseas to China and the Ukraine. That money isn't used to pay off your debts in your cities that couldn't manage their money. That money needs to go back to every American. As we've said on the show, there are 330 million Americans in this country. If they had taken that $1.9 trillion and given every single American, I'm talking everyone, children, babies, adults, everybody, people making $10 million a year, people making $1,000 a year, if you could have given every single American almost $6,000 in this stimulus package. So for my family, that would have been 6 people. That would have been $36,000 back to my family. My family's getting nothing. And okay, that's fine. We don't need the money. We're okay with other people getting the money. If you want to send that money to maybe someone that's making $30,000 a year, I'd be fine with that. That's okay. But if my family was given that money, that $36,000, instead of sending that to China, what would we do with the money? We would probably renovate bathrooms. We would probably do an addition to our house. We would have our house painted on the inside. We would maybe go out and buy a car. We would spend money on the economy. And isn't that what this stimulus was supposed to be? To infuse money back into America so people would get jobs, people would have business, and we would recuperate the entire country's economy that happened because of COVID. But that's not where the money's going. The money isn't going back to the people. I mean, $1,400, that's a slap in the face. That's a slap in the face to Americans who have lost their jobs, who have lost their businesses, who can't pay their rent, who have $10,000 in credit card bills at this point because they've been living their lives on credit cards because they've had no choice. $1,400 is a slap in the face. It doesn't help anybody. And they're taking our money and they're stealing it. And I think that's what goes into this whole divisive culture. These politicians are dividing us. They are conquering us. And while they're doing it, they are stealing our money. They're paying off the people they need to pay off. And they are just destroying the country. And unfortunately, as Americans, we are letting it happen. We're letting it happen. And, we need to stand up as a unified country. And we need to stand up and stop it from happening. Yeah, Eric, do you think it can happen? I don't know.
I would think so, but to add on that point, like politicians, paying off their donors for getting them in office. My thinking is if you were a donor and that paid to a political campaign and whether your preferred candidate won or lost, I think the consensus would be is instead of expect to get paid back, that as the donor you have waived your right to that money.
Yep, no doubt. I see Ralph's comment in the chat. Don't people have to pay back more taxes after the $1,400? They do. I mean, that's the thing. They're going to give you the $1,400, but they're going to raise your taxes, so your taxes are going to go up. And then on top of it, that $1,400 is great, but that gas tank you used to fill for $40 is now going to cost you $60, and that money is going to go very, very quickly. And initially, they'd promised $2,000, so it's $1,400. And I don't know, man. I mean, what I'm seeing in this country, I can't understand how anybody can support what the Democrats have done. I don't understand how anyone could support Joe Biden. And I just don't understand how people truly support what he's putting out there and can actually see this as being a good thing. The one thing that the Democrats do very well, and they do this every 4 years, they are very good about attacking the right and making all of these hollow promises that never come true. But the promises sound great. I mean, hey, you know what? We're going to pay off your student loans. Boy, you get out of college, those greedy bastards charge you $200 to get your advanced degree in medieval literature, and you can't get a job, but you owe $280,000 to Yale because you had to go there for medieval literature, and you can't get a job. The only job you can get is making $20,000 a year. So the government, you know what? We're going to pay off your loans. Even though Liz Warren, one of our Democratic senators, charges $400,000 a year in her salary to teach one college course, she's not the problem. But, we're going to take care of these loans for you. We're going to pay them off. Oh, wait a minute. Now I'm elected. Yeah, forget it. We said we were going to pay the loans, but now we can't do it. We can't afford it. If I was one of those young kids that had voted for Biden because he promised to pay off my student loans, and then he got into office and decided right away, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I mean, I think I'd be pretty pissed off right now. And I could see myself as a 22-year-old kid, if I was getting out of college and owed $100,000 in loans or $200,000 in loans, and Joe Biden told me he was going to pay them off, I'd be like, where do I sign up? Check that box, pay off my loans. Awesome. But those are the things they do. They promise to you that they're going to support you. They promise a better America, and they never deliver. They don't deliver. The times in this country where we've truly prospered, for the most part, have been under Republican presidents. You think back on Reagan, even the majority of Bush's presidency, we were prosperous. And towards the end of Obama's presidency, he did do some things he needed to do. I mean, we were in rough shape when he took over office. And I think if we're going to be fair.
Well, that's because you had Democrat-controlled Congresses to shoot everything to hell in a handbasket.
Right. Well, when Obama came in, though, Obama, people rip him. People say he didn't do anything well. I think if you're going to be fair in a talk show, and if you're going to be fair as an American, you have to say that there were things that Obama did that were good. I mean, there were. I did not hate Obama. I didn't like the way he declared war on the police. I didn't like Obamacare at all, the way he just rammed that home without really any approval. It was basically the equivalent of an executive order. And, there were a lot of things he did.
He got bad advice from advisors, too.
He did. So, I mean, but all in all, I think he did do some things. But you're right. Not the real Mr. T. He didn't do anything to help African Americans. And that's one thing that, if I were African American, I look at Candace Owens. I love her. I think she's brilliant. And I don't know if you guys saw the comment.
And the late Herman Cain is another example.
Oh, Herman Cain was awesome. I liked him. But did anyone see? Now, I watched probably the first 45 minutes of the Grammys the other night because my kids liked some of the artists were on. We saw Harry Styles get on, and we turned it off before Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion came on. Did anyone see the video of the act that they put on? I
didn't even watch the Grammys.
Oh, you have to go on YouTube and look at the video of what they did. Basically, Megan Thee Stallion. And I like her music, but I listen to Hits 1 and Sirius. I like her music. I don't think she deserved a Grammy for, yada, 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 yada. But all in all, I do like the songs. They're talented artists, whatever. But they get onto the Grammys, and their stage was basically a carbon copy of what a strip club would look like. There were poles and everything out there. They were both half naked, and literally they were humping each other. They were humping the floor, humping their dancers while singing WAP, which is obviously, wet ass pussy. I've read the lyrics to that song on the radio before here. And what I don't understand is, how can Dr. Seuss be offensive? How can, Mr. Potato Head be offensive? How can all these things that have been canceled in our culture be offensive? But two grown women up on stage on national television where children are watching are pretending they're strippers, they're humping each other, they're everything else. Now, again, I'm an old man, whatever. I look at that and I'm like, all right, I've seen it before, no big deal. But if you're a 12-year-old girl, you look at that and you look at that as being a way to being popular, a way to being famous. Look, they're role models for a lot of the children. And I know a lot of times stars will say, well, I'm not a role model. I'm sorry. If you become famous, you are a role model. You are a role model, whether you want to be or not, you are one. And when you look at the way they were acting, but then you look at some of the things that have been deemed offensive in our country right now, I don't get it. How can that not be offensive? How can that be allowed on television for our children to see? And no one calls it up. But apparently I did see that the FCC has received more complaints than they have almost in history, I think they were saying, about the performance that they put on, at the Grammys. But that's okay. But then I saw Candace Owens, who I love. She's brilliant. And honest to God, if I were single, if I were 20 years younger and I met her, man, I would put a ring on that finger. She's brilliant. She's beautiful. She's intelligent. The comments she made, I don't know if you saw, she went back and forth with Cardi B because she made some comments on the Tucker Carlson show, and she was ripping on Cardi B for her, basically classless performance. So Cardi B fired back at her, and then I love this comment. Candace Owens said, well, I'm not saying you're the entire problem, but you are a cancer cell, is what she said. And I thought about that comment a lot, and it's so true. There are so many cancer cells in society today that are just ripping apart the decency of our culture. They're destroying our young children. Now, I'm on TikTok, right? I'm on TikTok. My daughter luckily taught me how to kind of block videos that you're not interested in. So here I am, a 53-year-old man hanging out on TikTok, started by watching my kids. And actually, I do like a lot of the political stuff on there. If you don't use that platform, it's actually pretty cool. I dumped Fascist Book a while ago, and I do enjoy TikTok quite a bit. But if you look at all the little 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old girls who are on that half naked dancing. They've got 2 million followers, singing Small Ways, Pretty Face with a Big Bank and shaking their ass around for all the different men out there watching. Again, do you really want a 53-year-old guy like me checking out your goods on TikTok? Because not all the people on TikTok are all 16 years old. You got older, creepy motherfuckers who are out there looking at TikTok, checking you out. I mean, man, where did our society go wrong? I mean, I grew up in the 70s and 80s and into the 90s. And I mean, young girls didn't dress like this. They didn't act like this. They didn't put their stuff out there for people to see at like 12, 13, and 14 years old. I mean, they're babies. They're babies. And maybe I'm just an old guy that's a curmudgeon now that doesn't look and doesn't understand the younger generation. But I don't understand how it's a positive thing for young girls to get on at that age and sexualize themselves. But when you're watching Cardi B, when you're watching Megan Thee Stallion, when you're watching Ariana Grande, 34 plus 35 is 69, right? Hit it like a side chick. I mean, I've read all the lyrics. When this is the culture you're raised in, it does become a cultural norm. And Candace Owens' comment about them all being cancer cells couldn't have been more on, because they are destroying the youth of our country. They are destroying the young girls who are being sexualized when they are borderline babies. It's, I don't know. Go ahead. I'm just frustrated, man. Go ahead, Eric.
Okay, what was I going to say?
Well, I didn't say I wasn't cool, Mike, or chill. See, my daughter says I have to use chill. Cool shows that I'm old. So
one point I would probably make a point about with the cancel culture, if like Uncle Ben's and Aunt Jemima and Dr. Seuss and Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head are deemed so offensive, like why wasn't it deemed offensive decades ago?
Yeah, and
because I mean. To say that Aunt Jemima's racist, is that what you and other people said back then?
No, not at all. And again,
and then even slightly raise the question of if Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben's are so offensive, why isn't the Quaker Oats mascot being labeled as offensive?
How about Colonel Sanders?
Colonel Sanders from KFC.
KFC. Does Colonel Sanders look like he was family friendly to like African Americans? I mean, to me, he looks like a slave master. I'm just saying. When I look at Colonel Sanders, the Colonel doesn't look like he was probably that upstanding of a guy. I mean, I could be wrong.
And I watched a YouTube video a while back, of Colonel Sanders' appearance on the Trinity Broadcasting Network program, Praise the Lord. And he had talked about like years ago that but like long before he died, that he used to curse like a sailor, probably dropping the F-bombs and dropping the GD and other unflattering curse words. But he found Jesus Christ 13 years before he died back in 1967. And sadly, we lost him at the age of 90 back in 1980.
Well, I saw another young kid that got on TikTok and loved his video. He was talking about, the canceled culture and talking about Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben. And it was funny how he kind of organized this whole thing. It was really, he made a good point. He was saying, okay, we're looking at canceled culture. So they've canceled Aunt Jemima. They've canceled Uncle Ben. And he went down a list of different things like Native Americans in logos and things like that. And then he went over to all the white faces. Okay, Colonel Sanders is still here. This other guy is still here.
Quaker Oats is still here.
So he said, basically what we've done in order to make the country now more, I guess, aware and woke of racism, we've removed all of the black faces from boxes. So now all the white faces are still there, but all the black faces are now gone. And I mean, for me, as a young kid, when I looked at Aunt Jemima, I didn't think anything of it. When I looked at Uncle Ben, I didn't think anything of that. And
this whole thing's a big money grab too. The cancel culture is.
It is. It's just stupid. And even, getting rid of, the logos, high schools that have mascots that are Indians or Native Americans. I'm sorry. I know I'm showing my age by not saying thing appropriately, PC. But I mean, my father went to a high school, Amesbury, Massachusetts. They were the Amesbury Indians. And it was a, very good school, a good sports school. My father had a great sports career there. And of course, the PC group came out there and they tried to remove the Indian from the logo. It was funny though. The people in this town basically came back and said, F you. Nope. The Indian stays, and the Indian does remain to this
Well,
day.
Land O'Lakes Butter has got an Indian as their mascot.
Let's see. They should reinvent Aunt Jemima as a stripper. Well, they already did that. That was Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B on the Grammys the other night. So maybe that's what they were kind of emulating. I have no idea, but that's kind of what I saw the other night. But
and I had to just tell Doss that I'm rolling over from laughing my ass off when he made that comment.
Doss is awesome. I love his comments. But when I look at mascots like Indians, fighting Indians, my high school where I went was the Central Catholic Red Raiders. So it is what it is. But I never looked at like my father's mascot and thought of anything negative about the Native American being portrayed in the logo. I look at it as like a fierce warrior, a tough, proud man. And I always view that as a very positive symbol. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, society disagrees. Now, where I live now, this you guys will kind of like this one. And I wish I had video I could show you this. This was so damn funny. The school that my kids go to now, or they're going to be going to, I'm in the Wachusett School District in Massachusetts. It's right in the center of the state. 5 towns make up this school district, and it's a big school district. I think the high school has almost 3,000 kids, so it's a really big school district. But the name of the mascot is the Mountaineers. We live right near Wachusett Mountain, so it's the Wachusett Mountaineers, and they have a mascot that's been around since the inception of the school, of this old hillbilly carrying a musket, hunting in the woods. He's barefoot, whatever. So the PC culture came out, and all of a sudden you had all these people coming out saying, why does he need to have a gun? Why do we have a hillbilly as our representative? You had all these yuppies coming out and attacking the logo and just bitching about it on this site that we have out here. So you had the old timers that were in town that were fighting for the logo, and the new people, well, it's very culturally inappropriate to have this. He shouldn't have a gun. That's a symbol of violence, and all this other bullshit that they were throwing out there. So it was kind of funny. This guy actually created his own logo. It was classic. He posted on the social media site. I'm trying to connect you, Mike. My button won't work. Oh, did I get you? Hey, Mike, try to call in again if I missed you. I was trying to hit the connect button.
I just found out, thought up another logo mascot, Wendy from the restaurant chain Wendy's. That's Dave Thomas's real life daughter.
Right. Well, let me finish telling the story.
Hey, Mike.
With the Wachusett mascot, okay, they had the Mountaineer.
Oh.
So this guy, who was a graphic artist, came up with the replacement mascot for the Mountaineer and posted it on all the social media sites. He had like this new guy who was a Mountaineer. He was wearing like a cardigan sweater. He had a man bun. He had Birkenstocks on. It was completely the most hilarious thing I think I've ever seen. And he was pointing out to like the different types of shorts he had, the Birkenstock sandals, all these appropriate things, the man bun. And he's like, he's the new Mountaineer for the 21st century of woke culture. Dude, it was hysterical. I posted that on my social media accounts a while back, and I mean, it went wild. People loved it. But we still have our old Mountaineer, our old hillbilly carrying his gun is still the the mascot for Wachusett. Mike, hey man, welcome to the show. I'm glad you called in. What's happening?
Hey John, how are you, brother? How's my audio?
You sound good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Okay, I'm at the water's edge, as some people would call him, by the water. It's beautiful out here in Florida. I just wanted to call and see how my sound is, and I love your show, man. You're straight to the point. You're cautious and you weigh things out, and I just value that, man. That's a great quality you have, sir.
I appreciate that, man. That means a lot to me hearing that from you. But then to hear though that you're standing on the beach in Florida and I'm freezing my ass off in Massachusetts, that makes me a little salty. I'm not going to lie to you.
I had to say that first to kind of stir the waters up, no pun intended, because it's beautiful here. It's so majestic, John.
You're right in the Tampa area. You know, whereabouts are you? I know you're in the Tampa area. Whereabouts are you?
Tampa Bay encompasses 3 counties, Hillsborough, Pinellas, and Pasco. And Pinellas County is the one where everyone goes to have fun.
It's Sarasota to the south.
Tampa, yeah, Sarasota's retirement. Tampa is more of work and corporate. But nice. Yeah, I'm in Pinellas County, St. Petersburg, and I'm at the mecca of where everyone wants to be.
That's beautiful. No, we with as over the years, we got the 4 kids. We spent a lot of time in Orlando, obviously going to the theme parks and all that stuff. And my father-in-law is down in North Fort Myers, so we would drive, the North Fort Myers via the highway, and we'd go through Tampa quite a bit. I love that entire area of Florida. Really, from Tampa down to North Fort Myers is kind of my favorite area of Florida. And I think Tampa,
I'm curious.
I love that area. Yeah, go ahead.
There's a secret about the springs that Florida has that not many tourists know about, and how they're like swimming pools, but they're huge, and they're absolutely stunning. You would never believe that would be in the state of Florida. There's hundreds of them.
Huh.
And it's a little secret not many people know about. It's not advertised, but tell you what, it's amazing. It's
where are they located? All over the state? Or where
Swanee River has, I believe, 12 of them, which feeds the Swanee River, and then the trees along the banks is actually what colors the water. But it's I believe 12 along the Swanee River, and they're scattered throughout the state because they were sinkholes that were formed by the aquifer. So it's quite amazing.
That's pretty cool. Now, being in Tampa, you a Rays fan?
I am a Rays fan, yes.
I went to
the first game. Nice. I went to the first game in 1997. My dad took me, and fell in love with baseball. Buccaneers, I stopped following them after 2008, I think.
You must have came back this year, right? You must have come back this year with everything that happened.
I had to be respectful, I guess, on my own sports dignity ethic, to not just be a bandwagon fan and to just respect the game and not just cheer for him because they got Tom Brady, which I've been told I look like him, and I don't know. I'm just not too big into sports as of late. It's almost a cardinal sin to say that in my heart because I love sports. It's important, but I'm going to get back in it. Sure.
I'm kind of the same way. For me, I'm a Patriots fan. I'm a Red Sox fan. I really don't watch nearly as much sports as I used to. I was actually very, very happy for Tom Brady and Gronkowski to win. I found myself rooting for Tampa Bay. I think the Patriots absolutely screwed Tom Brady over. And now, Belichick's going out and getting all these weapons for the team now. Where was he when we had Tom Brady as our quarterback, getting the weapons for him? But for me, this upcoming season, I'll be rooting for Brady and Gronk again. And my family, we've talked about it. We've got up at my closet, I've got my game jerseys of Gronk and Brady from the Patriots. I may have to kind of drop into the savings and buy some Tampa shirts for this upcoming year. We've all talked about it. We might not do it.
I don't want to say this, but I'm going to. I'm about less than a half a mile from his house.
Are you really?
Brady.
Nice.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
He's got two of them. This one's not really well known, so we try not to tell too many people, so we get bothered.
I'll tell you, I'd like to find out what Tom Brady did in his previous life. I mean, you get a guy here that 6'5", super handsome, best quarterback in the history of the game, married to the most beautiful underwear model in the history of the world, who also makes more money than he does. Are you kidding me? What did this guy do?
When you're talented of that caliber, you have to have a mentality and a state of mind that not many people can achieve, and that brings his athleticism to its peak. He's great at what he does because he embraces, what we're capable of doing. We can do anything if we just stay focused and just go for what I'm assuming he fell in love with football a long time ago, and that's why he's so good at it.
I mean, for him now, at his age, 45 years old, I mean, for him to still be playing at the level he's playing, I mean, this is more than about money. It's what he loves to do more than anything. He doesn't want to give it up. And as long as he can play like he's playing now, I mean, who knows? This guy might play till he's 50, which is amazing. And I hope he keeps winning. So for me now, I've never rooted for another football team. I've always been a Patriots fan, even from the time they were the worst team in football back when I was a kid. I now have another team to root for, and it's the Bucs. So I'm hoping that, if the Patriots don't do it, which I don't think they will, I'd love to see Brady win another ring next year, and I'll be rooting for the Bucs the whole way if they do.
Yeah, he's the leader. He was the one that led the army, led the team to victories and losses, but he understands the importance of having a leader, but the team as a whole is really what makes.
Well, there have only been, from what I've seen over the course of my sports career, I've seen a few people that have what he has, and honestly, I know everyone talks about him. I don't see it as much in LeBron James, but there have been players like Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, You look at Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. You look at guys like maybe even like a Bill Russell way back in the day, and a guy like Brady. They have got not just the ability, but that burning desire to win, also with those positive leadership skills that just make everybody around them better. I think a lot of times when you look at LeBron James, he's a little bit more me. And you look at guys like Brady, you look at some of these other greats. I mean, I guess Tiger Woods is more of a me guy, but he played golf, so you really can't be a team player in that particular sport. But yeah, I mean, he's just one of a kind where he gets it. He doesn't say the wrong things. And I know that people hate him and they've tried to tear him down for cheating and all the different things. But I mean, I don't think Tom Brady has done anything that any other quarterback in the NFL hasn't done. I mean, back when they were talking about the deflated footballs, you had Aaron Rodgers that came out and said, okay, well, I like to pump mine up extra big. So, you know, when you looked at the NFL rules back in the day, the referees would check the team balls and then they would give the balls back to the team to let the teams, quote unquote, prepare the balls for the game. I mean, what do you think that meant? The NFL knew that quarterbacks liked the balls of, you know, different types of PSI. They like their balls to be prepared differently. And the league was allowing every player to prepare the footballs the way they wanted to prepare them. So I still laugh where people say, well, he cheated. He was deflating footballs. Well, when they took away the deflated footballs in the second half, he put 30 points on the board in the second half with the pumped up footballs. So it's not like it made that big of a difference in the quality of his game. But yeah, he's something. You guys, I'll tell you, you know, even if you're still not really a Tampa Bay Bucks fan, enjoy it while you have them.
I am.
You know,
but I can't proclaim it. I can't say, yeah, I'm a diehard fan and not be real and be truthful, I guess. I always wear my heart on the shoulder. I'm reserved in a sense, but I have to be respectful because I don't know. I've been a big sports fan, and especially Bucks and Rays. But I don't know. I guess it's like an unspoken code. You know, if I'm be a bandwagon fan right now, I have to at least say it or you know what I mean.
You know what though? I think most people would give you a pass if there's any bandwagon you want to jump on. This is probably the one, you know. So, and,
I'm born and raised here, 3 generations. I mean, I gotta stand for the Bucks, right? I do support them. I
would think so. I mean, I'm doing it for.
I didn't know who the coach was. I had no idea who the coach was into the Super Bowl. I mean, that's sad. That's sad. I feel depressed knowing that.
I was a little worried after the first game in Tampa. You know, we of course watched it up here, and I remember Brady in that first game didn't have a great game, and I think he made a couple of bad decisions down the stretch. I can't remember exactly what they were, but I remember Arians came out and he criticized Brady in the media, and that's not something that Belichick ever did. And I remember thinking to myself, there were even articles I think up here in the Boston paper saying, "Oh, Tom, you having like your job regret or whatever it was." I mean, obviously not now, being that he went down and won the Super Bowl. I think it took him a little time to adjust to the culture, maybe, you know, with a new team. But initially, I was a little concerned that he wasn't going to do well. But I'm happy for. I've got nothing but respect for the guy. Greatest of all time, hands down. Gronk wasn't as good as I expected this year. Maybe he needs to get back on the PEDs or whatever, because he didn't seem like he brought the same muscle to the game.
Was he a fullback or tight end?
What's that?
I feel stupid asking. Is Gronk a tight end or no, he's a fullback?
Yeah, he's a tight end. So he's the tight end.
Like a John Lynch, in a sense. Okay.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So he was, you know, a great tight end up here in New England, but for whatever reason, you know, maybe they were managing him during the course of the season because he always had a lot of injuries up here. So he was kind of full tilt for the playoffs, which was kind of good. But with that receiving core you guys have, I can't see anybody beating Tampa Bay. And I was happy to see Brady beat Mahomes. I was tired after hearing about Mahomes that after one Super Bowl victory, he was the new GOAT. It's like, you know what? Give it 19 years. See if he can put a few more Super Bowls up before you start talking that talk. And there's a lot of other quarterbacks that you could put in that conversation too. Like, I mean, you look at Terry Aikman, you know, Marino, whoever, you know. What
is GOAT?
Greatest of all time. So that's what they've called Brady up here. He had a little name.
Wow.
So symbolizes.
I am so out of the loop, man.
That's all right. No, that's all right. They kind of give it to him up here in New England, and people have been calling him the GOAT for like a year or two right now. So, Mike, let me ask you, what do you do, if you can say it, what do you do for a job down there in Tampa? I'm just curious a little bit more, know a little bit more about you. What do you do?
Yeah, I am in the wedding production industry, which is dead as a door now. I do weddings and bar mitzvahs and parties. And, I do photography, aerial photography, cinematography. I'm studying at my church, and that's a big passion of mine. I just ran into a guy who owns a he developed a new application. It's called Lifeguard something, where he protects your data from Twitter, from taking your pictures and not being able to get them back. He's developed a program. It's weird I ran into him, but
That's amazing.
he's really rich dude, just in his car. But I mean, I just went to this tavern here, and this guy's there, and he was telling me about it, and he wants to see what I know, and maybe I can help him. I don't know. But
that's great. Yeah, you never know who you're going to run into. It was funny. The other night, I was talking earlier in the show. I don't know if you were here at this point, but my son went to a baseball showcase up in Manchester, New Hampshire, and we walked into this beautiful complex. I mean, huge complex, full weight room, gigantic area for kids to actually play baseball indoors, because we need that up here in New England in the wintertime, and just all the bells and whistles on this place. So then I remembered a few years ago, one of my good friends from high school had told me that he had started a baseball academy up in New Hampshire. So I started to think about it. I'm like, I haven't talked to this guy in a while. I wonder if this is his place. So I asked the girl behind the counter, I'm like, hey, just out of curiosity, who owns this place? And she goes, well, this guy named Bob and another guy named Jack. And I'm like, Jack Sweeney? And she goes, yeah, that's him. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I was friends with him in high school. Is he here? Unfortunately, he wasn't there, so I couldn't run into him. But you ought to see this place that he put together. I mean, the place had to cost millions to build this place. And this is my old high school buddy that's obviously doing pretty well for himself, building this giant place, up in New Hampshire. But being that I'm a baseball fan also, we get kind of interesting news here in my town. I live in a little small town, 2 towns away from Worcester, Massachusetts. For those that don't know, Worcester is the second biggest city in Massachusetts, next to Boston. It's about an hour west of Boston. And the AAA Red Sox team is moving to Worcester. They just built a new stadium, Polar Park, and the Worcester Red Sox are going to be starting there in April. Well, in our town, there's been this big, 20-acre parcel of land that's been for sale for 10 years. We can't sell it. The town bought it from someone, and they just haven't been able to sell it. So apparently the word has it that in the town right now, the Red Sox are very close to closing the deal with our town to buy this parcel of land, and they're going to build an entire baseball complex, like an indoor baseball facility for their team to train in. They're going to have outdoor fields that all the people in Rutland can use, the town I live in. And the town is super excited. I mean, this would be awesome to literally have the Red Sox coming into our town and training in this indoor facility, and people in the area having access to the fields and the facility and everything like that. So kind of exciting news in my small little town here where I live. So I don't know. But
any new news is exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, Hey, listen.
More on my past. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead. No, go right ahead.
No, I was a salesman for over 20 years. Still am. It's I guess that's been a core of what I've been acclimated to, being in
that's
sales
my business.
People.
That's my business. I can tell by talking to you.
Yeah, it's important to listen, to know their wants and needs, and just I don't know. I've just always been a people person, and Tampa Bay is awesome. There's so many people, so it's great.
What type of things have you sold?
I've sold supplies to floral companies like vases and I don't know. I'm gonna call it provisions because that sounds like a military term, but things to keep their business going, like papers, printers. This is basically a wholesale company who was able to get things cheap. That we buy them in bulk, and we're able to sell them to businesses at cheaper than compared to public or market prices.
Yeah. Same thing. I've been in sales my entire career, and I've enjoyed it. It's a good way to make a living. And you got to you can't be one of those people that's like a pushy, in your face type of salesperson. For me, I always try to listen.
Just sell the product.
No, you got
sell the business.
You got to listen. You got to figure out what they need and try to meet their needs and consult them and help them and be kind of a resource. The one analogy I've always used about sales, and this used to drive me crazy. Back in the day, I'd walk into a Best Buy, and I'd need a new phone or a new TV or whatever it was. And you'd walk in, you'd have one of the salesmen that would come up to you, and even though you have a specific purpose for being there, like I need a new phone, they'd be like, okay, well, we have phones, but have you seen we're selling the TVs at a discount? For me, that right away would annoy me, where I'd be like, all right, listen, that's a great deal on a TV, but I'm not here for a TV. I'm here for a phone. And
not a good tactic on an upsell.
So I always try not to push people in other directions. I try to keep them where they are and service them and hope that they come back. So, hey, listen, unfortunately, we are at the top of the hour. I've got to get back to work. So, Mike, I'm glad you called in. Hopefully you call in again. I'd like to actually maybe have you on for a full interview at some point and learn a little bit more about you if you're up for that.
I would love to. And if there's topics we can, whatever
Sure.
you. I'm down. Just give me a day and time, and I'll prepare.
Yeah, I generally
the Get to Know Your Podcaster interview series.
Yeah, I generally don't always say, people call in when you want to, but you're always welcome to call in. So call in, do a show. If we're talking politics, whatever you want to throw in there, 2 cents, we'd love to hear from you. So, but again,
Right.
I don't want to hear about you being at the beach again. That kind of, like I said, triggers me a little bit. All right, maybe in July you can tell me, just not yet.
I've got 5 different social media accounts that are activated. I can go live broadcast my location where I'm at with the 2 video feeds, so I can show you.
Killing me. All right, man. Thanks for calling. Eric, why don't you do your thing? Tell everybody
Thank
what
you.
else is coming up.
Well, and I think on the Get to Know Your Podcaster interview series, I don't know if Chris, aka Turtle from the Talks with Turtle podcast, has ever reached out to you. But I did send you his email address in a Twitter DM.
I did reach out to someone, and we couldn't put together a date. I can't even remember who it is.
Well, hopefully you and him can work on the date, and hopefully you can also work on getting Brian and Rebecca from Planet ADHD to come on one day, and hopefully I might see about us, reaching out to Sarge from the Gray Area podcast if he's interested in coming on sometime, and a few more Get to Know Your Podcaster interview candidates, and hopefully Ralph, if he's still in the chat, is working on reaching out to you as well to schedule something. But otherwise,
why didn't I ask him? I should have asked him when he was in here. I forgot. Because I would love to have Ralph on. I didn't even think of that. But you're right. Good point. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But otherwise, the Podbean live shows to be on the lookout for today. Coming up at 3 p.m. Eastern time, you've got Frankie's Crib, the Friday edition, and hopefully Robert should be doing the Mr. Clean music show around 4 or 5 p.m. Eastern time today, and then 7 p.m. Eastern, be on the lookout for Jeremy to do the Come Exist Culture, and he's going to be doing a 2-hour show to make up for missed shows this week. And then you've got the Slightly Serious show with the TGIF Free For All edition at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, and then 11 p.m. Eastern, the old man is doing his Friday night music show. He's playing the music of Journey and the Eagles, and then sometime after 11:30 p.m., you've got Chris doing the Forgotten Tunes, and this weekend you've got the It's Doomsday podcast with Jester and company, as well as the hot new podcast show, the Turfy Show, which I think Glenn has really talked about a lot in the chats. I
got to tell you, that is a great show. If you have not been into that show, I've been in there a few times. Excellent show. Check it out.
Yes. And then a Saturday evening, of course, you've got Lyrical Laxatives, and then the old man's got his Sunday music shows, and Dennis Lee is changing up the days like he's doing the Tall Tales of the Rabbit Hole. So he'll be going live after 9:30 p.m. Eastern time on Sundays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, followed by Trice Talk at 11 p.m. Eastern time on those 4 nights.
Eric, hold on. Let me interrupt you for a second. Did you hear? Glenn's having another show also. I'm not sure if he was able to promote it.
Yeah, definitely be on the lookout for Glenn to do his show. And hopefully...
This is a different one, though. He's actually doing one. I don't know if it's tonight or tomorrow night, but it's talking about how to date in Canada when you have a small penis.
Oh,
that show's coming up.
I think this is kind of like a continuation of the former Random Couples show, I would be guessing. But definitely look out for Glenn to do his sports shows and to do his comedy roasts.
Yeah. Now, Glenn, are we doing this Sunday at 7 o'clock? Can you move it up earlier?
He's talking about doing like a roast of the old man.
Oh, that would be awesome. I'd like to hear that.
And hopefully everybody's read the super chat that I posted earlier in the show, to share today's show and other shows when they go live, and to give the show a follow, and to check out other great friends. Like I said, the old man, which is TOM, Slightly Serious, Cummings, as well as Chris and Robert, Trice Talk, Dennis Lee and Lauren, Chuck and Billy, and many others.
Thursday would be perfect, Glenn. I could do that. All right.
And then the interview with the actress who played Zuzu on Wednesday, and maybe some more daytime shows of yours to come up next week.
Yeah, for those, but again, I'm glad you mentioned that. Next Wednesday, 7 o'clock Eastern time, if you're into Christmas movies, I am interviewing Zuzu from It's a Wonderful Life. She's 80 years old now. She was 6 in the film, and she was the little girl that said, every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings. So she agreed to come on. She's going to be calling into the show, so she's not going to see the chat. But Wednesday at 7, 4 o'clock Eastern time, Zuzu from It's a Wonderful Life. I'm pretty excited to interview her. That's going to be awesome. So, all right, is that it? So I guess I interrupted you like 7 times.
Well, love you and God bless you, and have a great weekend, everybody. We'll talk at you again soon.
Take care, everybody. Ooh, a little bit of rock this time. Here we go. I like this song. All right. See you guys soon. Take care.